Real people, real celebrities, real talk.
Join the Breakfast Club.
Blast off in your
Weekday
ear.
morning, 6 to 10.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Special guest in the room. She's been up here before.
Yes.
Miss Tara.
Tara Guns.
Wallace, Tara Wallace. I am Tara Wallace from Love and Hip Hop.
Good morning.
Hi,
You
good
not banging
morning.
Peter no more? I heard you was back banging, getting that old thing back.
I don't know where you heard that from. Who told you that?
Somebody on TV.
Maybe they're lying.
So y'all went on a date or something? Am I
No, okay, Charlamagne, let me back it up.
Okay.
Because clearly you don't know what's going on.
I sure don't.
But we did see in the past couple of episodes, you did go with Peter to Barbados, you and your sons.
We did, yeah.
You guys took a family trip. Even though Amina was pregnant, about to have a baby at any given moment,
Right.
he was in Barbados and sneaking off and calling her while he was with you, pretending that he was on a business trip.
Ooh.
And
Now,
we know Guns ain't got no business.
You stupid.
Now, did you know that he had lied to Amina about what he was really doing?
No, I didn't know he had lied to her about what he was doing, but I didn't really go into detail about what he told her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get that, you know, there was something important happening in her life, but my children are also important. They are the most important things in my life. So at that moment, with what we had gone through, we deserved a vacation.
Okay,
You
and
definitely gave him some on the vacation. You just don't fly. You just don't fly no poom poom to Barbados and don't smash.
No.
Maybe she flew herself.
Thank you.
You did?
I could have.
well, I thought it was Peter's
I could've
idea.
whacked.
I could have gone half on that. We have children.
True. I wouldn't have though. You pushed all the kids out.
I
Now-
didn't.
Oh, okay.
I deserve that.
Got you. You did. You deserved it.
All right, but you didn't feel a way about it? I mean, he is married to Amina now, and you guys didn't really have such a great relationship. So maybe feeling like, okay, well, even though that is my children's father, we have a lot of history. We were together for 13 years. You didn't feel like, okay, maybe this is not right, though, because he is married to somebody else, and she is about to have a baby. Maybe any other time, but right when she's going to have a baby at any moment.
You know what? Honestly, at that time, I guess if I had been giving a little bit more respect, I could have given back a little bit more respect.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely times where I wanted to sit down at that point in time and talk to Amina, and I felt like those conversations were never had, and it was just not. I was not going to stop something. My kids were getting ready to go back to school, and I was not going to stop something because of what was going on in her life. I think that with as crazy as everything happened last year, we should have had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
One that I reached out to her and just like trying to get clarification, because I mean, our relationship was not great, but it wasn't all that bad either. I wasn't sticking around for all those years because I thought I was in a relationship with myself. I was in a relationship with someone that was functioning and communicating, and every day was not perfect, but we were in a relationship. We were living together, and we lived together for a long time, even after they were married. So it was just...
It's all Peter Gunn's fault.
It's all his fault.
But why did you let him live with you even though he was married to her?
Well, I mean, at some point I didn't know. We were living together and they were married, and I didn't know.
Right.
And, you know, like any divorce or breakup, you know what I mean? You have a set time of when everything has to go. And we weren't really living together all the time, but we were still in and out of the same house until I moved.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did it insult you that somebody with such dirty feet could do you that way?
we already talked about that.
I know, but just didn't that bother you just a little bit, even
I
now
mean,
in hindsight?
I mean, that's always upsetting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On top of like the social media that takes jabs and you having to defend this relationship, it's a really real situation.
Yeah.
And when we stopped filming last year, I went through like, you know, that moment of realization of what had just happened.
That Satan Scott Young has just raped your life, as she does so many others.
So it was no disrespect to her. It was just not the top on my list. At that time, that's what my boys needed. That was the most important thing in my life. He's also the father of those children, so that's what he had to do for them.
Did you feel bad when you look back at it and you didn't know he was like sneaking off on a terrace and like, yeah, I'm doing this photo shoot. I'm out here. I'll be there soon. And she's in bed and she's, you know, in the
So
hospital.
they taped all this on TV?
I mean, I feel bad that she was sick, but I don't feel bad for what I did for my family, no.
Mm-hmm. Now, then you guys had a heart-to-heart, and it seemed like he wanted to get back with you. He was basically leaving it up to you, saying, you know,
No, they was just in Barbados. Peter was drinking. He's like, I gotta hit this before we leave this out. I'm not all this money I spent on plane tickets. That's what that was.
Did y'all have sex out there?
No.
Lies, Tara
Sips tea.
tells.
No. people always say, "Oh, she's using the kids." I'm like, we have 2 children. I don't have to use my children to do anything.
I know, they're your kids.
They're my kids, and I've been with Peter long enough. I was with him long enough that if I want something, I'm going to say, "This is what I want," and that's what he's going to do.
And he should do it, especially after
so I
everything
don't
he put
have to
you
use
through.
my kids.
How did you feel when he appealed to you? Like, come on, Tara, let's see if we can make this work. And what was that like? Because you were upset. You said because he didn't choose you.
Well, it wasn't that he didn't choose me. It was the way he went about it. If you needed to marry someone out of love, then end something. Allow me to like, let's sit down. Like, anything can be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said this last time. I can deal with like not being in love anymore. Or people want to move on and go their separate ways. But let's have that conversation. You don't intentionally hurt me because you have moved on someplace.
Mm-hmm.
You and Peter do hang out a lot, though. I caught y'all one night creeping through the streets in New York.
Yeah, you
We
did
weren't
say
creeping.
that.
We were walking.
Jumping out of Yellow Cab. It looked like your head was in his lap right before
That
y'all
is
got
not, that is not what
Really?
you saw in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We were actually parting ways. We had to
Really?
meet up, and then we were parting ways.
What happened to the other guy you were dating? One of the twins.
I don't know. We just kind of like lost touch. He was, we talked for a little while. He was fun. He was sweet. But, I don't think it just didn't work out.
You dated anybody else since then?
I've tried to date, yes.
You somebody smashing. You look very young and vibrant.
I have
you getting some
tried.
young penis. I can look at you and tell.
I'm trying to date, but
No, you may not be dating. But
no.
Shh. You got that glow, girl.
No, that's just a little bronzer. It was like a
Little bronzer.
I'm trying to. I'm open to dating.
She's trying to
happen.
Now, you and Amina have finally been able to have conversations. And because you said now that she's a mother, you have to treat the situation differently.
Right, I do. That's a choice that I made. It was also a choice I made, not just because her being a mother, but because I wasn't healing the way I would have wanted to from the situation. I wasn't just bouncing back after a regular breakup and saying whatever. I was really hurt behind the situation.
Right.
That's why I say a conversation should have been had. Do you understand what just happened? I'm not just delusional. Like, I'm hurting. Like, this is something that happened out of the blue, on national TV, and then I can't get the truth. Like, I can't necessarily believe, I feel like what Peter's saying 100%. So you're the other person that holds the key to something that I need to know.
Right.
You know?
And then the fact that your kids are siblings now.
Our kids are siblings, so I feel like, again, I will step up and try and be the bigger person, and make sure that, there's no type of animosity now that there are children involved. Just like, get over it.
Well, what is it that you need to know? Because we watched the show.
No, then.
Oh, okay. Because you know everything that went down.
Yes, I did. I mean,
He played you out, married another chick. We all see the show. I mean, what's there to know?
Do you feel like he would have married her if it wasn't for television? Like, do you sometimes think that maybe he got carried away with the whole plot and the way that it was going and making it more interesting?
I think that he got carried away in his own life and just went, and did something that maybe in the moment he wanted to do. I don't really know if I wish I had the answer to that question. I mean, because even though we are here and I have seen what has happened, it's still, at what moment do you wake up in one morning, marry someone, and still come back home that night?
In a world
That's
where
a really
media
crazy
takeout,
person.
In a world where media takeout says he did it for the money because she needed a green card.
I mean, whatever media takeout says, I don't know. And I said last year, that's not what I felt. I wish I had the answer to that.
How do you explain this to your sons now?
And do they ever
Because
want
they're
to
like,
beat
here
up
comes daddy's
daddy?
girlfriend. Like, what do you tell them?
Well, they know now. My son. I mean, some things you'll have to wait for on the show. But my sons are aware that their father and I are now not together, and that they have a little sister.
Right.
And so that brings about a lot of questions that TV and media are not there for. When people are like, well, you're lying to your kids. I'm like, well, where are you when these questions need to be answered? I need to handle this with care and with, and understand that, that my children are very young, and I just can't plop that information on them like that. I may be able to handle that.
How old are your sons?
7 and 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's going to run up on him soon. I ran up on my pops when I found out my pops was doing my mom's dirty.
What your pops do?
He told me one day I would understand.
Do you understand?
Do you understand?
I did as I got older, yeah. This guy's going to want to have other chicks. I don't know about doing the extreme of, marrying a whole nother chick and then coming right back home to mommy, but
Now, as for your 7-year-old, is this something you have to deal with, like at school, with people talking about it? Do other kids watch the show and are like, "What's happening?"
You know what? I had a parent-teacher conference, and so, I mean, they are aware, and they haven't seen anything.
How was that in school? Talking to the teachers after they seen you on Love and Hip Hop.
The teachers watched the show?
Well, it was, it's so interesting because my youngest son, Kaz, is, he's an interesting character. As I'm having this parent-teacher conference, he walks up, he's like, "Mom, these are boobs." And I'm like, "Yes, they are."
Yeeks.
Like right now.
If you went to that school and there was teachers there that knew you and wanted to take pictures, you got to withdraw your kids from that school immediately. I don't want no teachers there that watch Lies and Hip Hop.
You know what? Peter he dropped him off one morning to school, and he was going to get coffee somewhere, and there are some administrators that walked out of another school. I was like, "We know your son is here, and we want him to come here." And I'm like, "What? No."
Just because he's on TV?
I don't know why that is so, but I was like, no.
So now what's going to happen for you going forward? If there's another season, are you willing to do that? And are we going to see you dating somebody else like we did last season?
I always keep my options open in dating. You know what I mean? It's just not something I ever rush. I've been in long-term relationships, so I'm just taking my time. And also, most importantly, I'm getting back to things that I should have done in my 20s, and would just focus on working.
Because you were an actress, right?
I am an actress.
So you're pursuing that again?
I am acting. I did 4 plays last year, so we're working on I'm working on a one-woman show now, my own company, which is T. Wallace World, training young artists, the old Motown training media training, and helping them prepare to answer these tough questions.
I heard Lies and Hip Hop hinders people from actually getting real careers and like acting and stuff. Like people see that on your resume and be like, "Nah, we don't want them." That's what another cast member told me once.
You know what? I can't lie and say that I haven't sat down with people in the industry and film, and they question, how are we going to do this for you?
Gotcha.
But at this point, I don't have anything to lose. That fear that may have been there when I finished graduate school isn't there now. So I'm like, let's figure it out.
And look at Carly Red got her role in Top 5, and she was
played a freaking whore.
Okay, but she still got a role.
Yeah, that's not too good. Yeah.
But she got a good role in a movie. I mean
she played a
it still was
prostitute.
an acting role.
She played a chick fighting over some money that she was owed for having sex. It's like, okay.
Somebody had to play that role.
True. I mean,
I can't knock it. I can't knock it.
Would you have done that, Tara?
Would you have played a hoe? A prostitute?
I don't know if I would have done that particular thing. I mean, we all have to be comfortable in that. If she's comfortable doing that as an actress, that's her. You know what I mean? But you have Will Smith saying, "I wish I had gone back and done certain things as an actor." Now that I look back on it, so
it was the funniest scene in the movie.
Not because of her, because of Cedric the Entertainer.
Anyway,
the movie was funny.
The movie was hilarious.
I saw the movie.
Yeah.
But but working. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm working, and trying to stay busy, and ultimately heal from this craziness.
Do you feel like you've kind of gotten over it now?
I think that I'm in a different place. I've moved forward. Last year, when it first happened, I was just kind of like going with the punches, and you have to keep in mind that although these things were happening, there's still Peter in my ear saying, "It's not quite what it looks like. I went too far. I did this. I did that." And then it's something else completely playing out on TV. So it's that moment of like, WTF?
What does your family think of him and your friends? Now, these are people that obviously you guys were together for 13 years. So they, I would assume, had a close relationship with him and thought you guys would end up together. Now, what do they think?
Well, my family's very upset. And when Peter would go to Mississippi, and I don't know if I said this before, my family would fry up turkeys in every backyard. And they're just like, "You ain't get no fried turkeys over here?" You know what I mean?
If they really hated him, they poisoned the turkey.
I mean, my family's upset.
Yeah.
They're very upset.
I don't see why he wouldn't marry you. You're pretty. You're smart.
Thing is, it's not even about marriage. It's just treat someone right. I'm not. Marriage has never been for me where I saw my life going as, okay, I'm married and now I have arrived at what I'm doing. But, to have a functional, happy relationship would be great. Yeah.
I mean, other than you,
and if you're not going to marry me, don't marry someone else would be awesome.
Especially somebody who's not as bright as me. I mean, listen, I've had conversations with you. I think you're a smart person. I mean, you're on Lies and Hip Hop, so that's questionable. But Amina's not the brightest butterfly in the room.
I think that she's very talented and creative, and I think that comes from a smart place.
She seems
I
like
can't
a sweet
sit
girl.
down. Yeah, she does seem like a sweet girl. And I'm going to be honest. There have been times where I've been in her presence, and I would want to just yell at her and say,
"Wake up,
McFly! McFly! Somebody in there, McFly!"
She's a very sweet person. So when I see that, it's just, it's just not her fault. It just brings me back to reality that this is not her fault. She didn't do anything to me necessarily, but you can't. Pretending like you're blind does not. You still don't get a pass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what's going on. All right. Well, listen. People always ask me for advice, and so I'm going to ask you now. Everything that you've been through. Okay. Somebody sent me this email. Ask Yee. Hey Yee. So it's been 14 years, still no ring. 2 kids live together. What the F is the problem? What advice would you give this woman?
I would say if she wants to be married, I would give him a few month time limit, a few months. Give herself an expiration date, and figure out what the issue really is, and if it's something that she has to have, then maybe she should exit that and move on.
Okay.
Did you ever want to get married? That whole 13 years.
I wanted to get married when I saw Coming to America in that wedding dress.
Yes.
I wanted to get married. But I have 8 brothers. I'm like a tomboy, so it's never. I've never just like I can't wait to get married.
So maybe that's why Peter went to marry me, because he knew you didn't want to get married. Oh, now it's all making sense.
So y'all never discussed it? Like
we discussed it once I told my mom, I'm like, with the rate Peter's going, like my ring is jumping like 5,000 every year. I don't know how I was going to be able to afford it. So that was like the joke.
Right.
And my mother's like, that's ridiculous, and I'm like, but Peter knows my heart. And if he wanted to get married and we sat down and talked about it, and that's where we felt as a couple we needed to be, then sure, I would have done it.
If you divorced Amina tomorrow and came back and was like, everything I did was wrong, it was messed up, and it led me back to where I really need to be, which is with you, what would you say?
I'd say I'm not in that same place anymore.
So you turn him down. You would say no.
I would say no because, this person really hurt me.
Right.
And not only did he made a very big decision. At the end of the day, marriage is a business decision. I'm entrusting this person with everything that has to happen in my life if something were to happen to me. So I tell Peter all the time, I'm like, imagine if something had happened to you and I didn't know via Love and Hip Hop that you guys were married, and I had to find out some other way if you were no longer here. I'm like, do you understand the mental state you could have left me in by making this choice?
He also said that he has problems and he needs help. And he thinks that you should go with him to get help, just like if one of your sons had problems and needed help. And
You know what Peter's problem is? He love bad bitches. That's his problem. Okay.
So how did you
That's
feel
his
when he
problem.
told you that, though? Do you feel like he has some type of addiction problem? Or
I
something
mean,
that he
me
needs
being
to
a
deal with?
mom, you know what I mean? There's like a side of me that wants to like go and save him. But I have decided that I just cannot be. This is like Super Bowl.
Ain't
Like
nothing
I'm
wrong
tired of
with
being the
Peter.
practice field.
Peter like pussy and he got crackhead feet.
Jeez.
That's it. Ain't nothing wrong with Peter Guns. Peter Guns
I
got
think that
good
people
sense.
just can't say no, and people just have options and they want to utilize those options, and if that's the life you want to live and you've forgiven before, you just can't keep forgiving and thinking that the person's going to change. And that's another thing. People are always like, oh, I mean, he's done this and he's done that. I'm like, well, I didn't know he was doing these things.
Until we all knew.
Until we all knew. I mean, he's very charismatic. He was very much so a part of our house. And I mean, do we fight like any other couple? Yeah.
Now you're not a young girl anymore. Do you,
I'm an old lady.
Yeah, but so at this point, you're still trying to make it in Hollywood. Are you willing to sleep your way to the top like these young girls?
Is that an offer? Are you trying to offer something?
I don't have anything to offer her. I'm just saying, because
No,
these young girls
I mean-
out here, they popping that coochie for these executives to get these roles. Now
No. That's not
Very
what I'm
simple
willing to
answer.
do.
it's not gonna happen, then, boo.
Let me drink my way on. Let me get my bottle.
There you go.
then.
Just drink and pray.
My goodness.
All right. Well,
No.
of course, we do wish you the best of luck, though. You seem like you've been pretty honorable in the decisions that you made on the show. Obviously, everything has been for your sons. I guess we just have to watch and see what happens.
What
But
happens?
do you feel like with Peter and Amina, he's just going to do the same thing to her?
Listen, I don't wish that on her.
But
You
you
know?
feel, if you could guess, you would say he has a pattern.
I feel that if a person can create this kind of chaos, that and you can see all of it before you proceed. If you can see the chaos before you have a child, if you can see the chaos before you even marry him, then you should be precautious.
Right.
All right.
What did they say? How you meet them is how you keep them.
How you meet them is how you lose them? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's how you meet them is how you lose them.
I don't know.
I think.
My goodness.
I don't know.
We appreciate you joining us this morning, Tara.
Thank you guys for waiting. I don't know if you're waiting for me, but I remember last
yes,
time you were
we
like,
were.
I know you do not wait for people because you're going to go to lunch. I saw you put your coat on.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we was almost out this morning.
I got to be somewhere at 12, so you're actually right on time with me.
Well, we appreciate you
thank you,
joining us.
Tara, so much for coming through and keeping it honest.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's the Breakfast Club. It's Miss Tara.